speaking with Mr. Christopher Hutt, who's the Managing Director of UNICO UK Limited. They're one of the partners of Automotive Test Systems, ATS in India. We'd like to have a small conversation with him. We're at iTech India 2019, and good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon.
We'd like to understand the relevance of an event like iTech India and what it offers to you as well as to ATS.
The reason that I'm here personally is that events such as this give us a very good insight into the needs and the dynamics within the Indian market. It's clear from the time that I've spent here that the requirements in India are very different from what we're seeing elsewhere, particularly in Europe and also in North America. This varies on two areas. One of them is the domestic need. You have such a large domestic market and potential for EV that is subtly different from what we're seeing elsewhere. And secondly, that you have a potential business infrastructure to be able to develop and new EV resources for global supply chain. One thing that we see right the way across the board is, irrelevant of whether it's in Europe or in the US, a lot of the major vehicle OEMs and tier 2 suppliers don't have these EV facilities. So when they're looking to invest in new facilities and new equipment, there's no reason why the investment shouldn't take place in India. You have an abundance of very skilled engineers and software programmers that really lends itself very well to the EV scenario.
All right. So then could you delve a little deeper on the kind of test solutions that you offer, which are focused towards electric mobility itself?
Okay. We're able to offer test solutions from the actual battery itself, right the way through to testing the e-motor, testing the e-axle assembly. So whether it's from R&D or whether it's end-of-line production testing, we can cover the whole application and portfolio really.
Okay, and these are all hardware testing that you're talking about?
Yes, they can be hardware testing or hardware in the loop.
Okay.
So it's where you take an individual component, the rest of the application or the environment is modelled, and we're testing one specific component. It could be the battery, it could be a combination of components such as the e-motor and the transmission, or it could be the e-motor, the transmission and the inverter. So it depends on what component level you're looking to test. But we have the ability to test all of them. It's very important when you're making these tests that the data that you acquire in one portion of the test is fully transferable and can be correlated to the other areas of the test further down the chain.
Okay. So how do you then work collaboratively with the simulation-driven testing? You're talking about hardcore physical testing, right?
Yes.
So how does your data help, or how do you integrate your data that you've collected and thereby further help simulative validation and verification?
One of the key areas is that with real-world testing is to be able to isolate external influences on the test. So it could be temperature, it could be voltage, it could be vibration. So by able to actually replicate certain parts of the test with the control system, it helps you isolate and remove the external influences that you may otherwise have that will include disturbance in the actual data itself.
Okay. The only reason I asked you this was because an event like this brings engineers from different departments together. Yep. And we're also talking a lot about integrating and working together, forming more openness, agile systems, right? So So my understanding was to know how all these are coming together right now, and different stages of testing also means different stages of development.
Exactly.
But now you're looking at a different aspect towards development itself. That's the only reason I asked.
Yeah, I think today in the EV market within India, I think it's a very new market. Right. It's definitely growing rapidly, but it's in such an early stage. I think people are not 100% clear on which direction they need to go. So this is why we're working together closely with ATS.
Right.
They have the knowledge of the market and the trust of the people from the local business. And then we're looking to transfer some of the knowledge that we've learned on applications in Europe and in the US, and understanding where they can be applied successfully into the local Indian market. And also we're taking away some ideas and concepts that are very specific here to the local nature and the product that you have here.
Okay. And in your view, and in working with a company like ATS, what do you see is the future of electric mobility in India? What segments do you think might have it, in what levels of adoption? And in terms of electric mobility itself, what do you think about the hybridization versus pure electrification?
Okay, yeah, that's quite an interesting. The specific requirements to the challenges that you have here with your traffic levels and the infrastructure that you have, actually the benefits and the advantages from EV technology is huge. From a safety perspective, from an environmental perspective, and also from an economic perspective, which is very interesting from the approach that the government's taken, that there's a clear economic benefit from going down this route. Now, the problem with hybrid is that really, because you have the mixture of technologies that have been implemented into the vehicle, it adds additional cost and complexity. The real route is to go to take the large jump and go to the full EV.
Okay.
Now, with the type of vehicles and products that you have here, it really lends itself to this technology, and it's allowing you to maybe take a technology leap that, particularly in Europe, people are a little bit more frightened to take. But what this means is you'll be able to reap the benefits from it much earlier. And this is something that's very exciting from what I can see on the market needs.
Would you say that this plays out well for all segments, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, buses?
Yes, I honestly think so. It's and some of the challenges that you've got with regards to range anxiety that people have within Europe and with the US, I don't think those challenges exist to such a great extent here. Obviously it will be because of the size of the country and people wanting to drive from one end to the other, but in the local, with the majority of the environment in the city regions, I think this won't be a problem.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your inputs.
Very pleased to be here to be able to offer it.